Today we're going to play some games with the 7th place Roaring Moon Dudunsparce deck from EUIC. This deck did way better than expected. 3 different people playing this deck were on a win and into top 8. 2 of them lost, but Mark Hostrup managed to make it into top cut. After playing some games, I think this deck is actually pretty good. Let's go over the list. The attackers are Roaring Moon EX and Baby Roaring Moon. We want to go second and attack with Baby Moon to start putting on pressure right away. Its Vengeance Fletching attack does 70 plus 10 more damage for each ancient card in our discard pile. So we can expect to 2-shot most 2-prize Pokemon with this and 1-shot basic Vs and EXs by the end of the game. Our other attacker is Roaring Moon EX. We have 3 of these and he will be used for the high HP Pokemon to finish off the game. It's got 2 useful attacks, both for 2 dark and 1 colorless energy. Frenzied Gouging knocks out our opponent's active and puts 200 damage on our moon. Calamity Storm does 100 plus 120 more damage if we discard a stadium in play. The first attack, we can one-shot any Pokemon as long as it doesn't have a mist energy on it. We want to finish off the game with this guy, or use it if we can't 2-shot something with Baby Moon. The coolest part about this deck is Dudunsparce. It has an ability that says draw 3 cards, then shuffle it back into the deck. This is a great support Pokemon that we need since both the ancient supporters we play are bad for draw. We can reuse it, and it can also make it so we don't deck out, as long as we have 1 card in our deck to draw with the ability. Its basic Dunsparce also has free retreat, which is very useful in this deck because Dark Patch can only accelerate energy to the bench. We also have Greninja for draw, and to get energy in the discard pile for our Sadas and Dark Patches. The supporter we want to play most is Professor Sada's Vitality. Sada says choose 2 of your ancient Pokemon and attach an energy from the discard pile to each one and draw 3. We also have Explorer's Guidance. It looks at the top 6 cards of our deck, and we take 2 and discard the rest. This card is pretty bad, but it helps Baby Moon do more damage. Our ace spec is Prime Catcher because we're less likely to have a bench full of ancient Pokemon, so it's better than the ancient drum. We also have 1 boss and 1 counter catcher for our gust effects. The other ancient cards are Earthen Vessel to find our energy, and Ancient Booster Capsule. It gives our Pokemon 60 more HP, and we can't be affected by special conditions. We have 1 Penny as well, because Stall was expected to be pretty good at EUIC. Penny is a way to pick up Greninja, so we don't just lose if we start it, or if they Erika's it into our active. There are 4 Dark Patch for extra energy acceleration, 3 Artazon to find our Pokemon and to bump opponent stadiums. We have 9 Dark Energy, and 4 Nest Balls and some Ultra Balls to find our Pokemon and Trekking Shoes to help get through our deck. We also have 1 Super Rod to get back Pokemon and energy. Now let's check out the games. Alright, our first game is against Lugia. And we're going second. We lost the coin flip and they chose to go first, which is pretty lucky for us. And we get a pretty decent start. We got Dunsparce, which is the perfect starter because it has free retreat. We can Vessel for energy and hopefully Nest Ball for Greninja. They get a pretty good Lugia start. Get out Greninja, get some energy in the discard and thin our deck. And just with that, we already have a turn 1 knockout. We can Artazon for another Dunsparce. I was kind of shocked, just like you need so little just to do 70 damage on the first turn. Between the 4 patches and the 4 Sadas, you're pretty likely to get it. Now if Greninja was prized, that would be pretty unfortunate because it'd be harder for us to get discard or energy in the discard. But we did have Vessel energy anyway. Now it looks like we should be good for an attack next turn. And they have to get out only 1 Archeops, which is good for us. Top deck Sadas, that is pretty lucky. So I just get rid of the Hapu since it's pretty bad for draw anyway, and we just want it in the discard to do more damage. Yeah, meant to say Explorer's Guidance. It's a reprint of an old card, Hapu. So I keep accidentally calling it that now. We Nest Ball out the Moon EX, and all we need is a Dark Patch to knock out the Lugia. It's kinda risky doing that before knowing, but I really figured we'd end up getting it. But at this point I kinda can't risk it because I'd have to send up the EX before I'd be able to Dark Patch to it, so there's no way we're getting the knockout. And I was counting up the ancient cards in the discard pile a couple times. We're just a tiny bit short for the Archeops knockout, which would have been nice, but at least we were able to take a prize. They'd send up Snorlax. They're just going to attach energy to it. They waste their mist on the Snorlax, so we like to see that. The Iono isn't great, because we kind of had everything we wanted in our hand. They just knock us out. I send up the Dunsparce because we can use the ability, so it essentially has free retreat. Now I was just debating benching that because I wasn't sure if I would want it in the discard pile, but I figure we're going to want to stream Baby Moon, so might as well. I Dark Patched a little out of order because I was planning on using Dudunsparce first before Greninja just to hold on to the energy, but I decided against it. I throw on the booster capsule so that they have to waste an extra energy if they want to knock us out with Cincino. This is an awkward decision off the guidance. I really wanted to keep the Sada, but we need the boss in the Dark Patch. And we'll just attack for a knockout. As long as we keep attacking every turn, we should win this game. So they could boss up our EX, but they're not going to be able to knock it out with what they have in play. Which I think they thought that they would be able to knock out the EX right here, so they mess up. And they Lumineon for a boss before realizing that they can't do enough damage. And then they retreat to their Lugia, which I think is a mistake. They really wanted to keep the one prizers in the active to make it so we had to take more knockouts. And then we'll just Sada. We basically can set up checkmate with our two Dark Patches. So I can just Frenzied Gouging the Lugia, and then the baby Roaring Moon will knock out anything that they could put in play. For some reason I spend a while deciding where to put this. It really doesn't matter. Just throw it on the active so it's another ancient card in the discard pile when they knock out the moon. And like I said, we basically have them checkmated because we can do more damage than any of their Pokemon. Even if they bench a Lugia V and attack with that, we can still knock that out with our Baby Moon. And we have draw on board too. And they concede. Alright, the beginning of this game kinda got messed up, or the video did, so they get down a Bidoof and Rotom and do the draw ability. Looks like they're playing Towards List or just Bibzard. And we have basically a perfect hand, so I just play our Vessels to get energy and summon the discard pile as well. Pretty much perfect start. Dunsparce in the active, Sada, and energy. Can't ask for much more. So we basically have a guaranteed knockout on this, their only Charmander, so that's gonna put us way far ahead. We'll just knock it out and see what they do. They promote Rotom. I guess they think we can't knock it out. But we have Prime Catcher, so I'm gonna try to Prime Catcher one of those Charmanders next turn. They're playing cards out of their hand, I guess. They just draw and pass Greninja. And I want to get down another moon so I can Sadas to 2 different guys. I really want to keep the Super Rod because it's the only one we have, and we want to stream baby moons. We draw pretty good off that. A Stadium would have been nice though. So we'll just Prime Catcher up Charmander, throw up the Dunsparce, retreat back into the moon. I draw. Might as well because I have another Dunsparce to bench. I was really hoping to get an Artazon to get 2 Dunsparce down. We'll attach. Now we have 2 attackers set up. We're looking pretty good. Alright, they promote. I'm assuming they have Charizard in their hand because Charizard just always has it. There's a lot of Charizard on the ladder right now after Tord won it with the EUIC. They'll evolve. They really need to get more Pokemon down this turn. They Iono us, which is a little unfortunate. Our hand was pretty good. They'll use their vstar. Probably to get a PAF in, I would guess. Oh, but barrel. They really need to get more Pokemon down. I don't know what they're doing. Could be one of the first times I've ever played this. Since it is the new hot deck, I would say. Whatever wins the internet, usually you're gonna run into a lot afterwards. I haven't played any games with Tord's list yet, but my friend said it was really good. I think he took out the Team Yell's cheer and one of the Turos, just for prime more consistency cards. Since for locals you probably, if you're not expecting a bunch of Snorlax, you don't really need those cards. And we hit for 200, which is good, because that's like more than enough for a 2-shot. They'll Arvin to get out Pidgey and Charmander, so now we know this more than likely is Tord's list. And we kind of have to be afraid of Turos. So if they're able to stream Zards and like Turo up one of our 2-shots, that's a way that they could definitely get back ahead in the prize trade. Alright, we just draw. We get some pretty good cards off that. I decided to Super Rod so that I can set up another baby Roaring Moon. Just debating if I want to get back 2 moons or 2 energies. I go with 2 energy because we were running pretty low because I thinned him out pretty aggressively at the beginning. And I figured that I can always set up a Roaring Moon EX if we need to at some point. I could set one up now, but we really don't need it, and they'll more than likely have a way to bring it up and hit it. And now I just make it so we can pretty much guaranteed stream 3 attackers of all the Dudunsparce, so we're Iono proof. Just play more of the cards out of our hand and attack. Now there's not much they can do. Unless they do get off a Turo play at some point. So we have 3 attackers and the next 2 will be enough to 2-shot the next Zard as well. And I wanted to leave ourselves enough Dark Patches so we could use the Roaring Moon EX if we are able to. They'll evolve to Pidgeot. Candy into their Zard. Now they can just come up and knock us out, but we have a guaranteed attack. and if they Iono us, we have draw. We're just looking pretty good. This deck is really consistent. They realize that and concede. I think they might have scooped a little early because with the Turos that they probably play, they still had a chance to win. And that is Mark Hostrup's Roaring Moon Dudunsparce deck. I think it's pretty good just the way it is. I would recommend trying it. It's especially good for new players. There's not too much involved. It's pretty straightforward. And I'll catch you guys later.